Good morning. Welcome to today's episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money. I'm your host, Gary Wayne, founder of A1 Solutions International, where we help financial service leaders scale with AI, compliance, risk management, and marketing. Today, we'll be discussing securing the future, how Data Opus strengthens database cybersecurity and resiliency. Databases sit at the heart of critical infrastructure, and protecting them isn't just about technology, it's about national resilience. Today I'm joined by Jonathan Jenkins, CEO of Data Opus, an organisation dedicated to increasing the cybersecurity and resilience of database platforms and information systems. Hi Jonathan, welcome eventually to our show.
Yeah, eventually. Thanks. Sorry it took so long to get this browser fixed, but yeah, we're good.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, evidently I can secure data, but I can't log into a website for like 3 weeks. Ignore that.
We can't all be perfect, right? So, Jonathan, can you introduce yourself to our listeners? Give us some
Yes.
background to your journey, how you got to be, the owner of Data.
Yep. Awesome. I appreciate it. First, thank you very much for letting me be here. I love your personality. We've been talking for a while, and I love what you're doing. I think it's great. And that's not a suck up. I actually do mean that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
My name's Jonathan Jenkins. I've had kind of a mixed background. I've been in IT ever since computers started coming out. My parents kept buying them for me. And through the years, I just kept learning. Eventually did some time in the Marine Corps. I got to be a gunnery sergeant and an air traffic controller. Did some time in Iraq, blah, 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 blah. But eventually, between after that and a little bit before, I have 30 some years experience in tech. Everything from software engineering to data to architecture, risk management. So I've gotten to the point in my career where I understand a lot more, right? We're a lot less dumb than ever before. So coming up with ways to protect the United States critical infrastructure is a big thing that I work on with one of my companies, specifically Data Opus, because it's the new oil, right? You got to be hardened as well. But the data side, there is such a reliance on this. How do I know it's real? How do I know it's accurate? How do I know I make right decisions? And with AI accelerating the problems with bad data, it's something that we just had to get into.
Fantastic. I mean, let's start with the big picture. What are the most pressing cybersecurity and resiliency challenges you're seeing in today's environment? I mean, we hear about cyber attacks all the time. I mean, we've had Jaguar Land Rover. We've
Yeah,
had
yeah,
some on our National Health Service. America has them. China, Russia is
all day.
doing them
Yes.
all day long. How do we do? What's going on your end with that in mind?
So ironically, we all share the same issues. I don't care where I've been in the world. I mean, I remember I went to Saudi Arabia one time, and I was just like, "Oh man, I can't wait to learn what's happening over here." It's the same problems everywhere. So no matter what, it's the same issues. What we have discovered, especially all my years working with federal agencies and Fortune 500s, is it comes down to kind of like what's sexy. Oh, we got to be compliant. Well, compliancy doesn't make you secure, right? But also is big focus on securing software. And one of the areas that we're focusing on is the other part. It's not just software. Yes, we can protect the infrastructure, okay, and the software. What about the data side? So the biggest thing that we are seeing is the weakness of data. It's just wild, wild west. It's all over there, and nobody's done anything to capture that. Most of what's being done to secure data, in my observations over all these years and reading every day, what is protecting from getting inside? Well, what if you already have a knucklehead inside that is a bad actor, or he's just a knucklehead and is harming it? We really have to know these things. There's been no emphasis on these back doors for the data. So that's kind of our big issue. And it's not even so much about stealing the data, which is really bad, but when they start injecting data in there and not understanding what the results are and is used for AI, we may be making decisions on things that can hurt our countries, hurt trade, anything. It's being ignored, the data side.
I think people don't find data management, etc., sexy,
No,
so they just ignore it.
no, but most do, right? I mean, data opus, let's be honest. It does a lot of great stuff, completely unsexy. You think I'm unsexy? Look at data opus, even more unsexy, okay? But it's what makes things run as much as possible. And if you don't protect it, you're going to have issues. And we're seeing now with the failure rate of even AI trying to be used in organizations from 75 to 95%. Some out of ignorance, but some of a lot about the data too. It's becoming an issue. Now, here's a great example in the United States. We are going to be going through a 10-year effort to redo all our air traffic control systems, okay? They're going to get much more heavier on data from all these new devices and all that. Just imagine if you're not securing that at the device, in flight, and posting. Are they going to produce false images that the air traffic controllers are not going to understand what to do, or getting on the wrong flight, or telling the aircraft, oh, by the way, I know you're at 10,000 feet, start dropping? I mean, these are some scary, scary things that can happen if you don't control your data.
So give me an overview before we move on about what Data Opus covers, what it does, who its clients are. I mean, not exact names, but the
Yeah,
type
yeah,
of clients,
yeah.
etc., and how
Yeah.
you operate on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Yeah, so Data Opus is simply a database forensic solution. Right now, it scans all the popular SQL databases. We're going to be starting NoSQL very soon, actually, I think in a couple weeks. And what it does is it does what the humans should be doing, but they're not. There's so many data sets, so many databases. Humans are not looking into the data on a daily basis, and they can't. There's just not enough. When your average database administrator has 100 or 200 databases, there's no physical way they're going to spend 8 hours to look what's problem because they got to fix issues. That's where Data Opus comes in. Looks at it, and in less than 2 minutes will do the work of what would normally take 6 to 9 months of a human to scan the database, okay? And it does the deep dives on things you wanted to think of, because there are differences between lowercase d's and uppercase d's, and oh, I can tell you you're going to run out of keys, or you're accidentally deleting data. So we're trying to find all these little things to make sure companies are resilient, because there is just not enough time by humans doing these things. AI cannot help with this yet, okay, and I got proof on that. So this is the solution where forensically look at it, less than 2 minutes, gives you the results. People can say, hey, here's a problem, here's the best practice, oh, and here's why it's a problem, and here's how to fix it. So it's a great little tool that companies can start learning from as well, so that instead of just fixing problems, now imagine if they can start engineering with it and fix them before they even become real problems. So, end of the day, forensic solution tries to align to all the major compliances out there, whether it's NIST, ISO, things like that. We recently just looked through K through 12 education. We align to that. So it's just helping organizations as best as possible to, hey, here's problems in your data, go fix it.
And any organisation could be your customer.
Yes, absolutely. And it really should be, right? We're all using data. So over time, we're going to be adding more database platforms on. But if you got data, you got to know who's in there. Example, in the United States a couple of weeks ago, there was a school district where there was a couple rogue employees inside were going through the databases of the children and see which ones did not take the COVID shot. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? So again, can we look at these and find patterns where people are doing, hey, why are you looking at this after midnight? Why are you even looking in this database? How come that was not locked down? I mean, these are the things where well-intentioned people, 99% of people are going to do the right stuff, but you always got rogue people, and you got to use it. So to answer your question, really everybody, if you got data, I mean, it's just, you got to know, at least know.
You mentioned earlier that it takes some humans, like on some of these data, projects, 6 to 9 months to go through it. How long would
Per
that be?
database.
1 day
Per database. So if
per
you got 100
database.
databases, you're
So
never done.
how much time would you reduce that by?
99%. 99%.
A few days max.
It's just, we literally can get a full scan done within 2 minutes.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, it's just, we were frustrated by this. I got together a lot of people. We have a couple hundred years worth of knowledge. And we just said, what are all the things that we're always frustrated with? And then we just kept expanding it, finding more rules. And now we're looking on the web and say, what is everything that can hurt you? And eventually we just get better and better at it.
So on a day-to-day basis, how do you approach protecting data from day one?
Okay. Well, excuse me. So it does kind of start at, well, there's protecting data and there's resiliency, right? So starting with your exact question there, protecting it. Just, look at the data. Is it encrypted in rest? Is it encrypted at flight? Do you have too many admins on your machine? Why are two people sharing the same password? Why do you have 1,000 people that can do certain things? So we look at identity and access management on there, access privileges, all kinds of things like that to determine, what are those little things in there that cybersecurity folks would never look for? Like we even look for, hey, are you using a password that's one of the top 5,000 used in the world? Why do we do that? We're just trying to think of everything nobody else has thought of, Why is that? No, we're not trying to be cool. It's just these are things that matter. So cybersecurity has a gap, the cybersecurity teams, and the data folks don't know what to do. So we're just in the middle, and we're always talking, and we're always trying to figure out, hey guys, you need to know these things. That's why here's another major issue that we have a problem with. Once I find security issues, where does it go? Currently, there's no solutions for that. So we even have the ability to extract that data real quick little export, and they can actually suck it into their seams and sores and all that. So you can actually, for the first time, take vulnerabilities in your databases and then push them up. Now the whole enterprise can see what's going on here. So on a daily basis, you should just be in there every day scanning and, hey, vulnerability, address it. You may not want to have to address every weakness, flaw, or smell, but you got to at least address on a daily basis the vulnerabilities as best you can.
How do you explain how encryption controls and regular security audits play in your approach?
That's a good one because a lot of people. That's a real good question actually. Everybody says, do you encrypt your stuff? Oh yeah, we do. How do you know? So that's what we do. This is almost like a third-party auditing tool, right? It'll go in. Let's say you have 100 databases. I got 100 different reports now saying what you're doing as far as do you have backups? Are they encrypted? Is your data encrypted? Do you lack in row-level security? I have it, and it's immutable facts. You know what I mean? And that's the cool part. So for auditing purposes, it actually reduces that cost dramatically too, because you're not relying on a human per se. Here's the data set, here's what I found. You may challenge it because maybe something was done by intentional design. Cool, just got to explain it away. I don't know how you put in a vulnerability though. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to explain that one a little bit. But yeah, we'll produce the real results, date, time, where it was found, here it is, here's a problem. It dramatically puts in the face of everybody what's something to do there. So it's really cool like that from an auditing perspective.
What role does regulatory compliance, things like CIS, HIPAA, and IST play in building trust with your clients?
Yeah, phenomenal question. Yeah, because they all do, right? Everybody's got a zillion compliances out there, right? And now it's even other things. For example, you have privacy, right? There's really not a lot of privacy compliance, but there's a lot of privacy things they want you to align to. What we do is we continually find out what are the latest hot ones, CMMC, the NIST, the ISO 853, 171, things like this, FARS, FIPS, all these things like you're mentioning, the CIS. We actually literally go through the documents. We read them independently. Myself and another cybersecurity or analyst or two will read them independently, right? We put in independent notes. We get together and say, hey, what do you think you heard here? And we're just looking for keywords, databases, data, things like that, AI. And we just go through, we make little discussion points on there. And do we say, hey, can our tool detect this? So we literally go through every single control. And I can say, yes, I can do compliance, blah, number 1.2. We align to or we support. So we literally go through them line by line to be very open and honest. And maybe I don't do all of it, but at least I do some of it and reduce the cost and all that stuff. So that's how we do it. We analyze it, go line by line. However, we've not introduced AI. What we're looking to do now is we have a small little AI team. We're pulling all these compliances together, and we just want to start learning because maybe we missed something, right? Human in the loop, right? And so we're now trying to be a little bit smarter on that. Can we find some patterns amongst the compliances? Maybe somebody's calling something different. Maybe data isn't the best word. Maybe I got to look for the word information. You know what I mean? So it's nice to kind of throw it at the AI and take some walk through it from an NLP standpoint or something as hey. Here's what I think here to get smarter.
I see some AI that can manage data. Yeah, we have systems that can manage data. So what's the difference? When you said no AI can do what your technology does, where's the gap between data management and cybersecurity or managing what you're managing?
Human in the loop. It's the human part again. I got a PDF. I got to share this with you. We did a comparison about we were just playing around. I think it was ChatGPT and Gemini. We had to look at this code, this SQL code that we thought was bad. It looked at it, found a couple things. I think it found like 5 things. Ours found 11. Okay, and we also dismissed one of theirs for being wrong. How do we know that? Human in the loop. We are just not there at the maturity level yet for AI to truly understand code. That's why a lot of times, and even with some of my clients, we're pressing get better on better testing like static code analysis before you use AI right now, because the AI code generators are creating a lot of vulnerable code out there, and it may not even work and be interoperable. So it really comes down to I don't trust it yet. And now, can it get there? Yes. One of the things that we're actually starting to build is what are these basic rules that we've discovered, because we catch all kinds of coding. We catch more, I think we catch 10 times more coding issues than everybody else. Like, how do we start codifying that so we can have some kind of engine out there that people can actually finally look at SQL-based code and determine what's the better way to handle that. But it's human in the loop. We're not there yet.
But a lot of the stuff, we're digressing a bit, but a lot of the stuff with AI, because I do it and use it,
Yeah.
you know, the off-the-shelf stuff, I agree, hallucinates,
Yes.
doesn't get things quite right.
Yep.
But I have found that when we write specific coding for a specific job, and normally it's trouble-free.
So again, we look a little deeper, and again, maybe that's because I'm a geek, but I really do care about the static code analysis. Is it really secure? Do I have? Is it readable? Is it something that's really interoperable? Does it match up to the other code in there that's already in there? So I just don't know. Is the class right, or should be a bigger class of classes? It takes a while, right? Because AI, it's just, sequence based. Small. Okay, I got it. Oh crap! I got to go back again and refactor. And it's just a thing that we're going to take out. It's going to take a while for this. But to your point, it comes down to extreme clarity, right? Yeah, the more clear you are, absolutely. I just think we don't. I think we're still living in a period of weak AI by most tools, which in my opinion is just pattern recognition. So I think it's going to be like what you're talking about. I think we got to get to the point where you're building, some kind of language model to look at all these languages and all that and try to figure out what is the right.
Yeah, I think you got to build things for a specific purpose.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
the off-the-shelf stuff is too loose.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should have said it like that better. Yeah, I agree with you.
Your team talks about resilience and practicing what you preach. What do you do to ensure your own platforms remain secure and reliable?
Yeah, we are ruthless on that. So we use Data Opus on Data Opus. We have to, right? I have multiple databases out there. We're getting into like Azure storage and things like that. We just believe, how can I preach it if I'm not doing it myself? And as well, sometimes we find things that go, wait a minute, I don't think we have a rule for that. Again, human in the loop. So we actually use it to see if there's a gap in there. But look, it's, I can do this, So we do use it all the time. All the time.
How many technicians do you have working for you that can rewrite the program, tighten it up?
So we have 11 total. I have 2 more focused on AI. I have 2 awesome data guys and 2 software engineers, and the rest are all more business side. And we don't need a big team for this, because the reality is, there are rules, and the same rules that apply for SQL could apply for MariaDB, Postgres, all these things, right? It's the same kind of rules. Some platforms may need more, and some definitely not as much. SQLite definitely not as much. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing next year is actually trying to bring on temporary folks that really know those platforms really well, and then push the limits and actually start working with the actual companies like Microsoft, Maria, Supabase, things like that. And let's get it into your environment so we can keep on learning and getting better. At some point, we're going to get to the point where this is self-learning. Okay, that would be ideal. Hey, I'm finding this pattern out there, and then how do we self-learn? Imagine that.
I think that will happen without a doubt. I mean,
Yeah.
when you implement this stuff, do you do it on site or do you do it remotely? How does that work?
Great question. We can do both, but it's mostly on site. So we're calling it a platform, not SaaS. Okay. Again, we have no ego about this. So you can use just the APIs if you think our interfaces are nasty. We have a Win64 version because there are some people that do not want to run it on the cloud and they want to run it locally off network and all that. That's cool. And then we're just about finished with the cloud app now. And the cloud app will also then be put in the government environments. So it's built for going international as much as possible. So it will be that way. But we're also trying to build the interface in such a way that you don't really need us as much. So our model is we really believe in UX, user experience. And our UX folks have final say in everything over my geeks. This is how people that may not know what we know, how can they see the problem and how they can fix it themselves. So that's part of it, making sure it's very user-friendly as much as possible, giving them the information, let them fix it as much as possible. And over time, we envision videos, tutorials, things like that so we can accelerate more. But again, some of these are real issues. Like we just scanned a database, a voting database, a real voting database, had almost 5,000 issues in one database. 5,000 hidden problems. Let's do the math on that. Okay, how many hours in a day? Okay, how many hours in a month? You cannot fix 5,000 issues. So this is where you really need help from outside people. We don't do services, but we have companies we can recommend on that. Some of these companies, you got to sit with them because if that's one database and if I got 100, now you're talking 50,000, 100,000 problems. You have a risk management issue, not so much a data issue. Data is the result of it, but you got really big problems, and that's when you need people in there and really help and understand, okay, what are the biggest vulnerabilities first, followed by the least, biggest weaknesses, and go from there. But you need real leadership in there, and these problems are not solvable in a day.
Is this system corruption?
Yes, a lot of times. Resiliency, right? Like how do I make sure I don't go down? Is everything man creates, man destroys, so it will go down, of course, and how do I come back up? But sometimes there's stupid stuff in there. Somebody goes, hey, I'm going to delete this, but they delete a statement, but then they forgot the where clause. Oh, great, now you just delete the whole table. You know what I mean? So we're looking for all that
because it doesn't run.
Yeah, so we're looking for all that stupid stuff, as much as possible, but big questions on that. We're now talking to a lot of M&A companies, and that's a $1.4 trillion a year effort internationally. And the buyer may need it, right? Because they want to be able to say, hey, run it on my system so I have my data dictionaries and know what to do. And the seller, how do they know they got something good? Before you sell it, don't you want to know that it's good enough and you get premium dollar for it? So it makes sense that they scan it, fix their stuff, make sure there's no vulnerabilities, because if there are later on, they can go back and get sued and everything. So it just fits in with everybody everywhere, but every case is going to be a little bit different.
What about work hardening cloud infrastructure and enforcing standards across Microsoft Azure?
No, that's a real good one. So, excuse me. So we're in Azure, and I love Azure quite a bit, but there's a lot that goes into it, right? You got to make sure you have finite permissions because somebody in your wire could be bad, right? Somebody inside your organization could just lofty or stupid. So you got to manage that. Who has keys to the kingdom? You have to make sure that you remove the human as much as possible from there so that the data is good. Great example is when we start moving data into our reporting library, especially for AI, we remove the information about where it's from, especially for our machine learning processes that we're working on now. Okay, I got to know inside the wire that when I have that database, one, there's no references to the company or people on there, and then number two, we really lock it down. So we are really, really into finite permissions, locking it down, row-level security for everybody, even within our company, and really making sure it's weaned out. But it's got to be security first. Try to have MFA, just logging in, logging out, and then once you're inside, you got permission for only what you have. Because one thing about this application, while it's good, we have to really protect it because bad actors would love it. Why? Because we're telling you what's wrong and what could be exploited. You know what I mean? And so we don't want to give them the keys to the kingdom. So yeah, security first mindset is huge. So we have a former Microsoft architect out of the Netherlands, Mike, who's just awesome, and we go through everything with him. Even though I can do it, I won't. We do by committee and small committees, but what's the best way to secure this? How do we scale this in security first? Everything. Well, it's going to cost more. What are you going to do? Got to secure it. So you got to have that security first mindset.
When it comes to data opus, how do you scale your business and how do you attract more clients?
So Right now we got a lot of work 'cause I'm in Washington D.C. area because it's kind of easy, and I got like I don't know 30,000 people on my network. I only know five of them, of course. You know what I mean? But getting that word out is kind of easy. But the big push is when the cloud app is going to be released later this year, because the cloud app, we have a free version going out all over the world, okay? And that's when it's going to really scale up from that point. And we believe, since we're the only ones that do database forensics, okay, that we're going to be in a great spot. We were going stealth mode for a long time, about a year, just because we don't want to let the game up because of, Microsoft and, some of these others that may want to take it. And I love Microsoft as a former Microsoft partner and all that. I go to their headquarters, but we wanted to make sure that we got this so far ahead that nobody's going to be able to try to mimic what we do on there. So it's set for scaling. But since day one, it was all about scale, so we have almost no use of people, okay? Because I want the very minimal people, backups, but it's got to be small. Our biggest group of people eventually is going to be sales folks, and that's it. But from inside the wire, we develop using the lean mentality where if I'm going to release something, okay, great, we'll do it in a day or two. We're just quick, small, always releasing something. And with that mentality and attention to detail for those customers, we're going to keep up with it. For example, we even take feature requests, and if there's a problem in there, let the users take a feature request. Why do I want to listen to them? Of course I do, and let it be for everybody. Hey, that's a great idea. And starting to get that feedback, so we're always being able to help people, and that all that mentality, that culture is going to allow you to scale. But as well, we've got to have the right culture inside too, management-wise. We don't hire clowns. We have folks that actually like each other, want to work with each other, love this, so.
What role does technology play in streamlining functionality and ensuring compliancy with insurers?
That really good one on that one. So that one actually is frustrating us a little bit too. We've been talking to folks on the insurance side. Most people selling it don't want to deal with us because it's kind of cutting out part of it, and I think they don't understand what's going on here. But some of the companies that we started talking to is like, oh, this makes sense, because imagine if you're a major company and then insurance company X says, hey, we'll give you cybersecurity insurance or errors and omission insurance, but you have to first run data opus to make sure you have no vulnerabilities. We think it ties in perfectly because everybody knows. Okay,
Well, that should be the way it should be. Like, you shouldn't be able to get a mortgage without having a life insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, yeah, simple things, right? And so we are in talks with a couple now to try to do that. Let that be part of their potential solution. You don't want to do it? Fine. But if you can reduce your premium because you go through these things on a continual basis, I mean, it's so fast. In theory, you can run this stuff every day, wake up and say, oh, okay, I got nothing to fix today. Well, that'll never happen. But
And if you go on a couple of partnerships like that, you'll be made for life.
Well, and that's the key. Everything we have here is built for interoperability to support all the partners, okay, not us. We specifically made the decision that Data Opus does not provide any services. I'm not going to fix your stuff, anything like that. We want everybody else to make money around us, because our intent is if everybody else is making money and everybody's saving money at the same time and all that, they got to keep coming back to us. I will be the unsexy data. I don't care, right? Milk is not sexy, sells every single day. I'm cool with that.
Looking ahead, where do you see the biggest opportunities for innovation in cybersecurity and data resilience?
I still think the artificial intelligence side. I still think trying to see patterns that we just do not know yet. For example, one of the things that we're working on now is by pulling all this data back about what data platform you have, looking at their code quality, looking at their patterns of vulnerabilities and weaknesses, the strength of the team. We start looking at all these characteristics of data. Maybe we can start making some predictions ahead of time saying, hey, this company is going to fail, you know what I mean, or going to have a cyber issue in 3 months according to all the past stuff we're seeing here. For example, I think Oracle and Microsoft are probably some of the better ones at securing your stuff. You go to MySQL and Postgres, they're least secure. And so we want to find those absolute patterns, you know what I mean, to say, hey, look, I can predict. If you're using this, you're probably going to have these issues unless you do these other things. So I think getting into those things about understanding how people are developing and their problems and their platforms and to start getting some inference to this, I think we can get ahead of the game a little bit. But it has to be, I think, more about predicting before they even write a line of code. I think that's kind of cool.
I mean, everything you're doing is quite cool, actually. But and you seem really to be on top of your game. How is Data Opus preparing for the next wave of threats and compliance requirements? I mean,
Yes.
these are upgraded all the time. People are getting cleverer. The hackers are getting cleverer. How do you deal with it or anticipate?
So, two-step process. One, sleep less, right? Three things: sleep less, read more, and get people smarter than me around me. So, this it really comes down to the cybersecurity analyst rather. And so, what we are dedicated to is to have an analyst start understanding about data, because most folks, when they go to school, they learn the wrong things, right? They're learning about, well, not wrong things, but not everything, right? They're learning about the tools, how to use them, but they don't understand, right? Until you know the compliance and understand why and all these things in here, it's only in year 10 that a lot of these people start thinking, oh, now I understand. So what we do is, I've been very lucky because I teach at a college. I pull a lot of kids out for internships, and we hire some, fire others, of course, right? Some of the ones we hire, like we had this one girl, Raquel. I mean, she went through 17 manuals of NIST privacy, and she goes through every single one. Here's the latest one. Here's where they align. We literally just walk them through with all these people and start, hey, here's what it is. But then you have to subscribe to all the sites, make sure you get all the latest versions, and you just got to be on top of your game. And that's where the AI comes in, because now if we can start comparing diffs and things like that as the new requirements come in here, do we care or not care? But there's just so many things. At some point, we even have to start scraping websites. What are the latest threats out there? We need other things like the CVE, the Common Vulnerability Enumeration List. There's almost nothing out there for data, or for the CWE. It's amazing. So we're trying to find all these data sources, try to stay on top. So I think that's going to be the big one. How do I harvest that information on a daily basis, try to understand where this is going? And it really comes down to real-time data. Great example, going back to CVE, CWE. Most CVE stuff that's out there, that comes out 2 years. 2 years it takes them to get together and have ideas before it actually publishes. Well, that's just silly, you know what I mean? So it's really about real-time information, right partnerships. What are you seeing? What are the trends? And just how do we stay on top of that? And then how do we get to the point where we're chasing less and we're just being smart enough that information comes in, start weighting it, WEIGHT. Do I care, not care, and focus, because we're never going to be on top of this.
Got to get rid of the time lags.
Yeah, that's really it, right? That's...
Otherwise, everything you're dealing with is historic.
I absolutely agree.
If you had a magic wand, I mean, yeah, we're almost done, but if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing in your industry, what would it be?
I think more right now it would be not chasing AI, okay? And I'm saying that because the data that people are using, they're making bad decisions on data. Sometimes data is being poisoned. They don't know people are changing the data. Well, how are you changing the data scientist guy, without talking to the business person first or the analyst? How are we categorizing these things? I think there is such a heavy use of data, not understanding where it was created. How do I trust that source? Has it changed along the way? Has it been poisoned? Has it been, taking stuff out? And I just think we're chasing AI without actually cleaning up the data. For example, we love Databricks, okay? We went through every single partner that Databricks has out there, okay, about their data and how to get it AI ready. No, they changed the data so it's better, So we're talking to them now because, no, that's step one. We're step zero. We need to fix your data at the operational side and then let it be for AI use. So to answer your question, I think it's all just getting people to take more concentration on cleaning up their data and going with it. But unfortunately, SQL databases have been around for 50 years, literally 50 years now. Nobody's looking at them because there's just millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of them, and they're not staying on top of it.
I think it's a chicken and egg situation. I actually think, obviously, people like yourself all over data understand data. People in those departments understand data, but the general users don't. And but I do think the one good thing about AI, even though it's early days, is AI is now making them aware of data.
Point. Yeah.
All of a sudden they're thinking, shit, AI can manage data or thinks it can manage data. I need to check my data. Am I on top of my data? I think before that, opportunity came in, the general Joe didn't take any notice of it.
I agree. And matter of fact, that was so much of our concern that we actually have what we call AI readiness checklists. You see a lot of AI readiness out there. It's just completely wrong. They talk about, oh, culture and all these things. Maybe I'm a geek, but no, AI readiness to me is, do you have the right, first off, do you know why you're using it? But when it comes down to the geek side, is your data even prepped? For example, we are ruthless in our internal databases for the Microsoft standard. Okay, first name, uppercase F, uppercase N. Well, guess what? AI systems, language models, and NLPs don't like that. They like delineators, meaning instead of having first name, we'll have first underscore name. Now, when you do that, it reduces your cost 60 to 85%, which is one of the leading factors to reduce your cost 60 to 85%, and it reduces hallucinations. Okay, so how can we even better describe our tables and columns in there and our code so that AI can look at it better, okay, when you're using it? Because I may have F name, then first name, FI name, first N. How am I supposed to know that's all first name? Let's be ruthless on that, and that's what we detect. We actually detect the 5 most things for AI readiness to reduce that cost, reduce hallucinations. Because they need to do that too. Can I forensically scan a database to see if it's AI ready?
Well, I think that was a great conversation. We're probably going to have a lot more conversations about AI, but probably not on today's podcast. I just want to thank you for joining. We've covered how you are embedding security and compliance into your DNA, building resilient platforms, preparing organisations for future of cyber security, how you're preparing people to use AI. I think you're doing a great job. And for the benefit of the listeners out here, where can they get hold of you? How can they get your services, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I would love to talk to you. Dataopus.us, DATAOPUS.us. Just reach out. There's a contact form out there, or you can also email me at jonathan@dataopus.us. Love to talk to you. We'll give you a real quick demo, see how it is, and I guarantee in a couple of minutes you're going to, oh, I get it. I need this.
Jonathan, that was fantastic. That wraps up today's episode of Wise Tech for Wise Money. I'm Gary Wayne signing off. You can reach me on LinkedIn or by email at gary@a1solutionsinternational.com or via our website www.a1solutionsinternational.com. Until next time, thank you very much. Thank you, Jonathan, again.
Take care, my friend.
Fantastic podcast.
Thank you.